What's good, Cuppies?
It's Malia.
And I'm Jay.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement right now. And we're also going to be reading a few Korean comments so that you guys can kind of have an understanding of what Koreans are thinking about in terms of what's happening right now in America. I'm sure, as we all know, I have very strong feelings about what happened, and I don't feel like I really need to talk about it because it's clear that me, as a Black woman, I'm not okay with what happened. But I think that it's more important that you see what others around the world are thinking. So let's see what's happening on the Korean side.
Yeah, so before I speak, sorry for my poor English, so I wrote it down, my thoughts, because I wanted to fully express my thoughts. I can't even express how sad and terrified I am right now in English. If I feel this strong, how strong would Black people feel about it? It was sad. It was a murder. The more sad thing is George Floyd wasn't the only one. It was just the latest Black person killed by forces of cops or white people. When I watched the footage of the murder, it was really hard to keep watching it. He was being killed for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I got teared up, but I don't know if the tears was from my anger or sadness or both. I watched James Corden speak on YouTube, and one of his words touched my heart. He said, "How can the Black community dismantle a problem that they didn't create? No one knows the answer, how to fix these problems. So we all should work on it." Since we sometimes make videos related to Korea, I wanted to share how Korean people think about this situation. I'm gonna share positive and negative comments so you guys can see both sides. I gathered comments from comment sections from Korean news channel. One is about George Floyd murder video, and the other one is looting and arson video. So
Okay.
I can't even imagine how much pain and fear he felt when he knew he was gonna die by being pinned down. I hope the police were punished by the law. Just getting fired? That's not okay.
I agree.
I unconditionally support Black people. Why blame Black people? The victims are Black, though. Just same thing with in Korean history, blaming protester citizens who protest because of a crackdown from the government. It's just the process of killing a person on the street, even by a cop. He just only got fired? Seriously?
Well, the good thing is they didn't just get fired. All of the cops were actually arrested and charged.
The video was like before, like very first time like it happened.
Yeah.
This is a murder. It shouldn't end at firing. Just firing even if someone died. What about his life?
The point we're trying to make is to get across.
Now I know how good it is to live in America and how great the country is. Even if you kill somebody, you'll just be fired. Such a poor environment for American Black male.
So I assume this is like
sarcastic.
Yeah, sarcastic. Like, oh, it must be great to just get killed for doing nothing. But I also want to say that even though this comment said Black male, it is Black people, really, because Black women are also dying too. And I know that there's a lot of, actually, I don't know if you know, but some Black women have been kind of upset because, you know, there's so much support for Black men, which of course we're going to support Black men, but when it comes to Black women, it's kind of like shun. Like they don't want to do as much. So like Brianna, the girl who was sleeping, and they entered her house and shot and killed her. You know, she didn't get a lot of coverage, but like Ahmaud and George Floyd clearly are. So it's kind of like Black women matter too. But it's not like a competition, but we just want to say It's everyone, not just black males, that are suffering.
How many colored people died by violence by white cops when there's no smartphone? No one wouldn't know about it also.
That is correct. I was talking to my dad, actually, and I was saying that I was worried for him and my brother. And, I was like, please be careful. It's crazy times right now. And he said, it's always been there, but no one was recording it. So...
yeah, I think that's the point, what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, if there's no smartphone, how many things...
Way more people. Way then. More. So, whenever someone is like, well, this is an isolated incident, like, George Floyd was, whatever he was doing, that's not the point. The point is the way that he died, and also many black people are dying just because not everyone has someone around that can record it. Like, you can't just think it's a one-off instance. It's not.
I believe riots and looting indicates an exploding of suppressed anger of Americans. It's not about a national character. So when I gathered comments from George Floyd, the video, there wasn't that much of, not at all. There wasn't negative comments about the video. I found another video. It was about riot and looting and arson. People have different opinion. I'm gonna read it. So before we start, it doesn't represent our opinion.
Yeah, these are just comments.
Just comments and
yeah. So I think that actually you can read them, and then I'm gonna talk about it after instead of one by one.
Okay. I agree with the protest, but why do they loot shops? Did shop owners do something wrong? Black people who do some racial discrimination protest shit don't treat Asians as a colored, not even human being. They do also freaking discriminate, but they act like they get discriminated. They get discriminated only. Why should we deal with hopeless fuckers with duplicity? Then why black people look down on Asians? Start of the protest was rightful, but they are saying that there should be no violence on one side, but also looting and arson and saying please listen to our voice on the other side. Who all did violent riot should go to jail. Innocent citizens are frightened by black dudes. But why do they burn and loot innocent people's cars and stores? Isn't it ironic? Black Friday. Back then, white people treated black people like cattle for a reason. They don't listen without beating. This is why there is an aversion to black people. Are you gonna push over Asian stores again? Childish Gambino said, "This is America."
I would like everyone to know, who doesn't know, that all of the protests started out peacefully, actually. And, of course, when you see who is in office and who our police force really follows in this situation, you could literally look at Trump's tweets. He was like, they're terrorists. Black Lives Matter protesting. We're terrorists. So, of course, it is within the police department to say, okay, well then we will stop them at any cause. I don't really know how else to say it, but they started out peacefully and then they became violent because police were acting violently in response to them. You can even see a video of a poor white male. He was like 75 years old, and I don't know what he was doing. He went up to the policeman to probably give them something. He's not a threat. He's 75 years old. And they pushed him over. He fell. He immediately started bleeding from the back of his head. They also didn't help him to get up. So if this happened to this white male, then this can literally happen to any other black person that is protesting. And I've seen plenty of live streams. My friends have gone to protests. My white friends have gone to protests. and they are always saying that it's peaceful until the police start pouring out tear gas, which I've never experienced, but I'm sure every Korean male has, right? Mm. You know what it feels like.
You don't want to.
You don't want. It's dangerous. And they also have these rubber bullets, which they're actually aiming at the faces instead of on the ground, so that it like ricochets and hits you in your knee or hits you on your leg. That's what it's supposed to do. But they're shooting at their faces. So when someone comes and asks why are they being so violent, you have to think about who we're protesting against. We're protesting against the police. The police are the ones that have weapons. Obviously, they're the ones who are enticing this, who are starting this. So I highly recommend that you reconsider and continue to educate yourself and look up some more literature about it.
So there's an article I read about that. So it's called "Why Do Some Protests Turn Violent?" It was on BBC. It was also translated in Korean. So I'm gonna put that link in the description box so that if you guys can read if you guys are interested in. So yeah, it was about like why the protest turned to like violent and why people loot. Because I didn't understand either.
So what did the article say?
It's complicated.
It is complicated.
It is complicated, but the article helped me to understand a little. But the thing is, all protesters don't loot or arson, or all people who loot and arson is not a protesters.
Exactly.
Like,
so it's really hard for you as in anyone, to really know exactly what's going on. And so when someone is only angry about looting, I get angry. Because it's like, okay, honestly, there wouldn't be looting if we weren't being killed disproportionately like this. But I'm not saying that looting is okay. From what I've seen, it seems that there are a lot of white Americans who are actually looting and vandalizing. Of course, there's no way to prove it exactly. Not everyone is everywhere at the same time. I know that there's black people as well. It's not one-sided, but from what I've seen, it tends to be white people, not even protesters, like he said. And, honestly, America is that divided that there will be white people that will go and do this thing, and then it gets blamed on black protesters. So I think a lot of people really underestimate how tense it is in America. So you really need to think about it from an American's perspective, not just you looking in and thinking, why are they looting? Everyone. It's not everyone. And a lot of black people have been going up to these white people or black people who are looting and saying, stop, because now we're getting a bad rep. This is not what we're trying to do. But there's some really racist comments in here.
Yes.
Like, I didn't say anything.
We didn't finish it.
But somebody said, and they said, well, black people don't treat Asians good, so why should we care?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm having a really hard time believing that black people in Korea have not treated him well. I highly doubt it. Because we all have respect for each other. We came here. We're not going to come here and be belligerent and ridiculous to anyone here, especially not Koreans, because why? We don't have an agenda to do that. So him, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Like, no one has ever came up to you that was black and like tried to beat you up or try to steal your money or anything. So I don't know where that's coming from. If they're talking about Corona, then it is kind of hard. Of course, I would never blame anyone for this situation. And I know that a lot of Americans were blaming all Asians, even though it originated in China. And even then, you can't just bully Chinese people who are American. They're American. They probably never even been to China. Even if they did, they didn't go to Wuhan. Like, the likelihood is low, right? So I know Americans, they're racist. They're racist, and that's why we're having this problem right now. I'm sorry. But I'm sorry for any minority that's going through anything. But, the fact of the matter is, right now, Asians are not being disproportionately killed in America like Black people are. So that's our reasoning behind Black Lives Matter. It is what it is. This is why we have an aversion to Black people. Are you going to loot pushover Asian stores again? I'm pretty sure those who are looting, they are not discriminating against who they loot. The people who are looting Target, that's a huge corporation. Just
I think they think about the LA riot back then.
All right, let's see what the positive comments look like.
The comments section is too much. It's just some crazy people who are using the chaotic, overheated moment by the protest. People who disparage protesters against racial discriminations. Aren't you also colored?
Technically you are.
When they get ripped off the skin individually, we're all red. I feel pathetic to people who do color game.
I mean, I guess.
When you rip off your skin, we all sing.
Okay, I get it. You could have used an egg analogy. Because we have brown eggs, we also have white eggs. But when you crack the egg open, it's the same egg. Yeah. I think that would have been a better analogy.
The smile version. There are also white people in this video. Don't lash out as only Black people did.
Exactly. There are also white people protesting and rioting. So just because white people are for us, for our movement, doesn't mean that they are exempt too. We're all in this together.
Don't put together between people who sincerely do commemorate and protest for reform and crazy people who loot stores in chaos.
That's what we were saying before.
Same. Including news in America, they never show protesters who clean the protest area and barricade in front of stores so that people can't loot the stores. I heard even in those looting people, there are some who doesn't even live in their states.
Yeah. So that is true. So, there's curfew now. So I'm not really sure. But, before when they were protesting, if things did get damaged, then they would go and clean it up after the day is done. Because we do care. We do care. And the point of protesting is not so that we can just wreak havoc and make people mad. It's for a reason. And, cleaning up as well just shows that it's not only about us destroying, it's not even us destroying property, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, America's media is very biased, and it makes any situation one-sided. They're really good at it. So, of course, in the news, they're only going to show you the violent riots, the vandalization, the looting, but they're not showing peaceful protesters, which most of them are. They're not showing cops that are siding with us, because they're only showing the cops that are using brutality. They are also not showing those who are cleaning up. There's so many things they're not actually showing. So I know that it can be hard if you are not really paying that much attention and you just see what comes up. But I really encourage you to really dig deeper and see what is actually happening.
But I'm glad that at least some people in Korea support and care about this situation and about George Floyd, about Black people.
So we're going to leave some links in the description for donations to the organizations that need them to bail out protesters. Also for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud, for everyone. So we'll be posting a pretty long list, and we'll also include any other resources for you to read up if you need more information so that you can, educate yourself.
And I'm gonna put that link to where I gathered the comment.
Okay, that's it for today.